After Goku became a Super Saiyan, he had a moment where Frieza was on the ropes and he could have delivered the final blow, but instead, he allowed Frieza to fully power up 100%. This all took place while Planet Namek was already beginning to break apart, so it begs the question of what would have happened if Goku actually killed Frieza early. Well, if Frieza is dead, then there would still be a few minutes left before Planet Namek actually explodes. Because remember, Goku allowed Frieza to fully power up after Frieza had already destroyed Namek's core. But there is one huge difference when it comes to the Dragon Balls. Kami, King Kai, and Mr. Popo would still work together to make wishes with the Dragon Balls. The first, of course, would be to wish everyone back to life with the Earth's Dragon Balls. This, of course, means that Guru would come back to life as he died prematurely due to Frieza's arrival. Guru coming back means Porungo would also come back with one wish left. In this case, because Frieza is already dead, it makes logical sense to use the last wish to repair Planet Namek so that it wouldn't explode. Originally, everyone was wished back to planet Earth with the last wish since Frieza was still alive, and no one knew who would win the fight between Frieza and Goku. In this case, with a few minutes left, Porungo could simply restore the planet back to normal. This ultimately means that in the future, the Namekians wouldn't have to find a new Namek of sorts, and the Namek they live on never blows up. Now, after Goku and his friends get healed by Dende after all of their injuries on Namek, they would board Capsule Corp's spaceship and return back to Earth normally. Later on, after several months have passed, after speaking to the Namekians through King Kai telepathically, Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, and Chaozu would all return back to life, and Earth's forces would be fully intact. Now, many of us are probably wondering about Vegeta and what would happen to him in a scenario where he's alive but not forcibly teleported to Earth. Well, hold on to your thoughts for Vegeta as he's the most complex character to discuss in this video and requires his own section on how he impacts the whole plot. But here's the bad news. In this situation, Goku would have never have learned instant transmission because he wouldn't have found a Ginyu Force space pod with a few seconds left to spare. The random space pod Goku found by extending the fight with Frieza was important because it took Goku to planet Yardrat, which is the only direct way that he would have ever have learned that technique. Next, we also have to remember that because Goku killing Frieza early takes place before Trunks and Cell created new timelines, this means that our what-if scenario takes place in the original timeline. In this timeline, it was Goku who killed Frieza and King Cold since Future Trunks didn't exist yet. This means it's guaranteed that King Cold would want revenge for his son dying, because Frieza definitely died on Namek and he wouldn't have a body to be repaired. So it makes sense for him to go to Planet Namek first, since King Cold would know that Frieza was last on Planet Namek. Here is where Goku not having instant transmission matters. He can't teleport to Namek instantly and kill King Cold and his galactic army, so the Namekians would all be killed, especially since whatever is left of Frieza and King Cold's empire would know exactly where they are, as opposed to New Namek, which was safer to live on. It's also important to note that because only the Earth Dragon Balls would continue to exist, the Namekians wouldn't be able to be wished back since they died before. So what happens to planet Earth? Well, if King Cole shows up for revenge, he is going to try to wipe out the planet from outer space with no warning. Because remember that it was Frieza who was the one that wanted to exact his revenge slowly against Earth's heroes, while King Cole was happy just destroying the planet from afar. Goku might be able to stop him if he's aware and can blast him from outer space with a Kamehameha or any strong energy attack, and Goku is still a Super Saiyan, so King Cole wouldn't be a major problem. The bigger problem is what really happens next, because this is the original timeline where Goku is going to get a heart virus, and if for some reason a butterfly effect caused Goku to not get the heart virus for whatever reason, the androids are still going to show up even if Goku never gets sick. This Goku would be significantly weaker without being warned of the android threat as everyone else was, so we end up in a situation where Goku gets killed in one of three ways. He dies because King Cole blows up Earth from outer space when everybody was off guard, he dies of a heart virus leaving everyone else to get killed, or Goku still gets killed by the androids anyways because he wasn't strong enough. Now this begs the question of Future Trunks. Well, this brings us back to the complex situation of what happens to Vegeta. Vegeta originally stayed on Earth mostly because he was essentially forced to. Porunga granted a wish to teleport him to Earth, so it was a situation of where else would Vegeta go. Because of this, he softened up a little bit and eventually had a fling with Bulma, which led to Trunks being born. So in this scenario, we would have a Vegeta who's alive, who would probably get in a space pod and mind his own business traveling through space. It's complete fanfiction to imagine Vegeta getting on a spaceship with Goku, Bulma, Piccolo, Gohan, and being a part of their crew. And it's also hard to imagine Vegeta going back to live on Earth if he has options and wasn't teleported there by force. So all of this is to say that Vegeta in all likelihood would never live on Earth. This means he never gets together with Bulma, which means Trunks never exists in any timeline because this is the original timeline, and Vegeta has to get with Bulma first for Trunks to exist in any timeline at all. This means that Bulma and Gohan would have to build their own time machine and try to change things on their own, which is a separate video within itself to break down. So let's make a change. Let's analyze the unlikely outcome of Vegeta deciding to live on Earth. That way we can analyze a what-if scenario in which Trunks exists, and give this what-if scenario a second chance at a good outcome, as it's pretty clear from all the things that we've said that the first outcome ends completely negatively. So let's say that after Goku died, Trunks now exists because Vegeta stayed on Earth. This means Gohan would still survive and train Trunks as his protege. He would eventually be killed, which would then force Trunks to defend Earth all alone and would eventually cause him to go back in time to change things. One extremely important side note is that Trunks would be going back to a timeline in which Goku would have somehow defeated King Cole from outer space. This means that Gero wouldn't have been able to acquire his DNA, which means Cell wouldn't be as durable and wouldn't be able to survive in space like Frieza's family, or use the Death Beam. And to be specific, the timeline that Trunks would go back to change history the first time would be known as the Unseen Timeline. Because remember guys, there are two future Trunkses that tried to change history. The first future Trunks tried to change history in the Unseen Timeline, and the second future Trunks tried to change history in what we would call the main timeline. And there's actually a third future Trunks that was created that will be explained in a redone alternate timeline theory in the future, but that's another conversation for another day. So all you need to know is that when Cell killed the first future Trunks, he created two alternate timelines. He created the History of Trunks timeline, and he also created the main timeline that we have. Now, explaining to you the specifics as to why will take a separate other video, but all you need to know is that the original future Trunks would eventually gather blueprints to defeat the androids, go back to his future, and would be killed by Cell. Cell would then proceed to steal his time machine and would go back to age 763, a year before King Cole attacked Earth, and would create two timelines that we are familiar with. So now, we basically have a similar outcome to what originally happened, minus Goku having instant transmission, Cell not having Frieza and King Cole's DNA, and all of the Namekians being dead. So for now, we can fast forward through a bunch of similar events as to what originally happened, up until the point where Piccolo fuses with Kami. Due to how desperate the situation looked originally against the androids, Piccolo would still fuse with Kami. Eventually, he would still run into Cell and would trick him into getting a lot of information on him. From this point on, we can fast forward through a bunch of events again and get to the point where Tien confronts Cell by trying to distract him so that Android 16 and Android 18 can escape. Now in this scenario, Tien would eventually be killed by Cell since Goku wouldn't have instant transmission to save him. And to put the icing on the cake, let's not forget that Piccolo himself also would have died because he was at the battlefield where Tien was when Cell showed up. So later on, after Trunks and Vegeta lose to Cell and Cell hosts the Cell games, Goku wouldn't be able to go to New Namek and get a new Guardian since all the Namekians are dead, and all the Dragon Balls are gone forever, and by forever we mean forever because all the Namekians being dead means there's no Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball. So the moment of truth has finally arrived. What happens in the Cell games with all of these changes? Well, if every single thing plays out the way it's supposed to, our heroes all end up dead for one major reason. Goku can't save the Earth from Cell when Gohan drags the fight out. Ironically, in a similar way to Goku dragging it out against Frieza originally. So as you can see, even if we forced a way for future Trunks to exist, and keep most major events consistent, we are still left with everyone being killed in the end because instant transmission is vital to the Dragon Ball universe's survival, and without it, everybody dies. Now, some of you will mention that King Kai knew the instant transmission as he showed it off in front of Goku, but this is an added anime-only scene done for humor. It isn't to be taken seriously, so we can't say that King Kai can teach it to Goku, when in fact, he wouldn't be able to do that with the original story. Now, to complicate matters even further, it's imperative that we point out that if King Kai truly knew instant transmission, it would create a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies throughout Dragon Ball history. Because now you can ask yourself, well, if King Kai knew instant transmission, why didn't he just simply teleport Goku to the check-in station so he can immediately just go and fight the Saiyans, instead of forcing him to run all the way back and waste time going through Snake Way? All of these questions are going to start stirring in your head if King Kai truly actually knows instant transmission, and it's better that we analyze a scenario where he in fact doesn't. But, as you can see, this is once again a what-if scenario that ends negatively. But if you're still in the mood for more Dragon Ball what-ifs, check out What If Vegeta Quit Training After Goku Died Against Cell, or What If Goku Showed No Mercy. And if you're in the mood for time travel, check out Future Trunks' secret mission to kill Dr. Gero. And until next time, stay cool and stay safe, my friends.